Hey y'all, here to do another review, overview and story time with a Leatherman Charge TTI. I have had this particular Leatherman tool since 2012, and I have a Leatherman Wave. I have several Leathermans, and I have a Leatherman Mutt that I got a couple years ago, I guess. I got from a neighbor. But this Leatherman I've had since 2012, and I have... it used to be my go-to tool for going out to the wilderness, camping, hiking, shooting, stuff like that until I got the Mutt. And I did do a video on it. If you want, you can go back there and look at it. But anyway, this is the Leatherman Charge TTI. This is a great tool. It's pretty much like a Leatherman Wave, except it has some key differences. One of them being it has titanium scales on the outside of the tool. And another difference, and what's pretty cool about this tool is here we got the spider hole that's not a spider hole, so you can get one hand opening. And it has this serrated blade, just like on the Wave, except it has this paracord cutter, seatbelt cutter type attachment on the top of it. And the blade, which is a really great blade, even on the Wave, but this one is, and if you can see it up there, get to focus, is an S30V, which is pretty cool. And that's one of the key differences. We'll open up the pliers here. And another difference you'll see, if those of you that know the Wave, which is, I think, Leatherman's most popular tool, is it has a crimper and a blasting cap crimper, which is pretty much what that tool was made for. And this is an older one. So here along the, in the jaw where the wire cutters are, you'll notice that they're not replaceable. Now, some people, me included, I didn't want to get a new one because I like the ones that are not replaceable. And you say, well, why? Why don't you want replaceable ones? I'll tell you. When they make those replaceable cutters inside the pliers, the way they do that is they have to cut out some of the material on the plier head. And what that does is it weakens the integrity of the plier head. So if you really get to cranking down on these, it'll break easier because you have a point of stress where there's a cutout in the plier head to make it to where you can put those replaceable cutters in. And I don't like that. I like it. I've never cut anything hardcore enough that I needed to replace the pliers. They say they get dull over time. Mine never have. I'm not a tradesman, I'll say that. But I will tell you, I know a lot of tradesmen. I have tradesmen in my family. And to a man, every single one of them says that if you're going to be using a tool that hard, you want to get a purpose-built tool. And that's a drop-forged pair of wire cutters or linesman pliers, by Klein or someone like that. And that's really what you want to be using, especially if you're a pro. This tool is the tool you have on you. If you need to do something quick and you don't want to run back and get your tool or whatever, you have this. For guys like me who are not a tradesman and you're just doing everyday, carry stuff, this is plenty good. I mean, this does every single thing that I needed to do. These plier heads are MIM'd, or metal injection molding. They're not drop forged. And even a cheap Chinese tool that is drop forged steel is going to be stronger than a MIM part. It's just the way of metallurgy and the way that they're built. So, a Leatherman tool is never going to be strong as a purpose-built tool. Even the really big ones like my Mutt or the the Surge, it'll never be as strong as a purpose-built tool. But that doesn't mean they're not good. It's just it'll never be as strong. This is a really great tool. And I'll show you some of the tools now that we're on the inside here. But you get a flathead screwdriver / pry bar. It's really great. It's pretty nifty. and it works. It's a pretty strong tool. And you'll look, before I open it up, you'll see that there are these little notches that you can kind of get your fingernail / finger into to pull them out. Before we get to that, I'll show you this tool, and I'll leave it kind of pulled out so I can get to it easier. This is a miniature screwdriver / miniature Phillips. And it really does work. It's really good, mostly for like sunglasses and stuff. And but it does work, or glasses, prescription glasses. And if you see a pretty girl wearing glasses and you want to help her out by tightening up the screws on her glasses, well, you can be the hero doing that. And here we get into a feature that I love about the Wave and I love about the Charge TTI, are the scissors. They did a really great job of designing these scissors. I have a little Leatherman T4, which is kind of I did a review on it. It's like a little pocket knife thing. And they put some good scissors on there, but they're not precision. They're, the Swiss Army shears are just 1,000 times better. But these, for whatever reason, they are pretty precision. It has a much better spring than the Swiss Army scissors do on that tool. Now, I've not ever handled a full-size Swiss Army multi-tool like this. I'm talking about their pocket knives. I would be interested to get a hold of one to do a review on an actual Swiss tool, full-size tool like this. But I can tell you that these are great. They give you a nice, handy little shelf to rest your thumb on or finger on when you're cutting. And these are very precision shears. My unscientific test of how I figured that out was, personal grooming. I have trimmed some nose hairs and my eyebrows and stuff like that with it, and they work. And that's how I tested that other tool. Anyway, moving on. Almost every single Leatherman multi-tool comes with this really handy attachment. It is the removable bit driver, and this right now in there it has a two-sided. I won't pull it out because you've seen them, but it's a flat head and a Phillips head, and these are done in 2 dimensions, which means it's hard to get to focus. They're kind of narrow up in here, but they still fit. Any Phillips, but they're narrow in here. It's 2-dimensional. And this allows you also to use a bit kit. And a bit kit, you can buy them for, they're around $20. And they come with a whole plethora of bits and stuff like that you can use with this tool and you can carry with it. I usually don't carry one. I might keep one in a pack or something, but, I like to have the tool I'm going to use and a knife I'm going to use. I don't like to carry 4 or 5 knives on me and stuff like that. I like to keep it simple. But that's just me. And then you get your, if I can get to it here, you get your inside. You get your can opener. Also used as a bottle opener right here. And this can opener does work. It's it's a can opener. It's also a box opener. Package opener, stuff like that. You can do a lot of stuff with this if you want to keep your blades preserved. You also get a ruler on both sides. You get a metric and a standard ruler on either side. And the nice thing about this ruler is, you can measure, nuts and bolts or bolt heads, to get the size that it is. But it's also good with the map and things like that. If those of you that use maps, if you go hiking and stuff, so that you can get an idea of distances between landmarks on a map. I'm going to close the tool up here, off camera here for a second. You also get, and this is one of my favorite features, both on the Wave and this tool, is you get a really decent file. You get a diamond file on top here on this layer, and that is really, really great. That is you can use it to sharpen knives in the field if you have to. You can do any number of things. Also has a file on top of the blade, and that's diamond on top of the blade, so that's a really long-lasting, good file. And then you get the standard file like you do on the other side, that crosshatch file, and you get that same pattern on the blade. And that allows you to cut through nuts and bolts or small things or whatever you might need. You can use it as a file saw. These tools all lock. If you see here, you got your lock, frame lock, and all the tools on this device lock. And another cool thing, I mean, you get a lot of really useful tools. That's why the Wave and by proxy this Charge is so popular, is you get these combination of tools. You get a saw, you get a wood saw, a really good wood saw. It's really aggressive, and it really works. It's not quite as clean cutting as the Swiss Army knife that you get on your Swiss Army knives, but it is a really aggressive. It makes quick work, and it'll get you through a 2x4 pretty quickly. I mean, you know, it's you. I don't know if you'd want to build a house with it or anything, but you know, if you're out in the field and you're wanting to build projects or do something, or just saw off a 2x4 real quick, and this is all you have on you, you can get it done. And it's a very handy tool. Like I said, all these tools lock. Even the inside tools, every single tool on this device locks. And you know, with the titanium scales, I don't think it makes this tool a whole lot lighter. I think they look cool. I think they look cooler than the regular Wave. Kind of stands out. And I have a Wave. I think that's really an attractive tool as well. And you can get them blacked out. My Wave is stainless steel, but I do have a blacked out Leatherman Surge. But I kind of like this titanium look, this industrialized kind of look to it. Leatherman with this tool gave me, and they give you a bit kit, and they gave me a pocket clip. It comes with a pocket clip, and it comes with a lanyard ring, stainless steel lanyard ring. However, I don't know, and I'm not knocking the tool, but the pocket clip I'll knock a little bit. It is kind of a really flimsy, cheap thing. It clips in. There's a special place that you can clip the tool in, and it takes advantage on the other side of the lock, and it really locks it in there. But the material that the clip was made out of was not that great, and it broke. And I ordered a couple of them, and I got tired of it. And then I found this company online, you know, reading through the forums and stuff, and I found one by Donk out of Australia, D-O-N-K, Donk. And it's made out of titanium, and you can see, if I can get it to focus there, you got skulls on there in the titanium, and it's kind of cool, and it really works, and it does not bend, it has not broken, and it's been a really good pocket clip. And when I don't carry it in the belt, you know, on a belt sheath, I'll carry it with this clip. Speaking of which, I ordered a really simple belt sheath for this tool online. It has no stitching. It's just held together by rivets and folded over and held together. But it has been really a great tool that I've had since about 2012, 2013. And this is not my number one tool that I carry. I've really gotten to be where I carry a Swiss Champ because it's small and convenient. But I do carry this a lot. It was my number one, outdoors tool that I carried with me till I got the Mutt. But I still will carry this. And now we'll get on to the story part. And I'm going to tell you, talking about using your stuff and why you EDC and all that kind of stuff. I'd gone out to the desert here to go shoot, brought a couple guns, and we went out there and we were going to barbecue and shoot and do all that. And a friend of mine, I don't know, he was doing something. He says, I'll meet you out there. I gotta do some stuff, but then I'll meet you. So I'm like, all right. So I went out there, loaded up the ice chest, did all that, went out there, I was shooting, and my friend came and he got some of his guns out and did all that, set them on the tailgate of my truck, and then he locked his keys in his Jeep. And I don't know. I think he's kind of dumb. I don't know how the heck he did it, but he did. He locked his keys in his Jeep, and he's locked out. So he's like, well, what do I do, man? And I'm like, well, I don't think AAA is going to come out here the hour it took us to get out in the middle of nowhere. And so he was going to bust his window open. He's kind of an impetuous type dude. And I'm like, listen, give me a second, we'll figure it out. And I had this tool on me. I had it on my belt. Didn't have a lot of other tools. I had a couple tools. Anyway, so what I did was, and this is what I'm talking about, even a pocket knife, whatever you got to improvise. And you know, being out in the desert, the area we're in, there's not a lot of trees, but there is like little mesquite bushes and small mesquite trees and stuff. So what I came up with is I went over to a tree, and I was using the saw. I cut off a limb, and then I have one here just to show you. And then I cut the limb into sections, and I carved out these little wedges, just simple little wedge. This one was, I used it for something else, but I'm just giving you an idea. I carved these wedges, and then what I did was I had him pull the door open, and as he pulled the door open, I used this tool, and I hammered those wedges in between the frame of the Jeep and the door until we had a pretty significant gap that would stay open. And then I used the pliers on this tool, and I unscrewed his antenna off of his Jeep. And then I took the pliers and the plier head, and I formed a little hook. And then I used that hook to fish out his key, but they wouldn't fit through the gap that we had. So what I ended up doing was I shimmied around, and I was able to unlock the lock part on his door. It's kind of hard to get to on that Jeep. I can't explain it, but we did get it done. I had to make a couple little bends in the antenna, and I unlocked his door without him breaking the window. And he was complaining that I bent up his antenna, but I'm like, man, that antenna, we can bend it back, number one. And number two, it's a lot cheaper than a window on a Jeep. And anyway, we got in. It saved the day. I mean, it really saved the day. It took about an hour of messing around. But because I had this tool, and, you know, I used my head, I thought about it a little bit, and I came up with the plan. And that's how we got the guy in his Jeep, just because I had this tool. You know, I warmed up the antenna so I wouldn't break it, and straightened it back out, got it looking almost normal, screwed it back in, and if nobody told him, you probably wouldn't have known that anything happened, you know, and we went on with the day and had a good time. But that's what I mean. You carry your EDC stuff, and it's not enough just to carry it, you know, and people sometimes laugh because you're always looking for a use to use your EDC stuff, but really it's just being creative, like learning to think. You know, they call that critical thinking, to where you analyze a problem and you really think it out. And I'm telling you right now, this tool, while it didn't save a life or do anything like that, it did save the day, and none of that would have been possible without this tool. That guy would have been spending $400 or more on a window if we didn't have this tool. So that's my story. If you're thinking about picking something like this up, well, I can tell you that this one is pretty expensive. It's gone through a couple of iterations, like I said, you know, different upgrades on it. But if you can pick one up used, you know, gently used, or you can just get yourself the Leatherman Wave. I got this, and I got a deal on it. It's a whole long story I won't tell here, but I got a deal on it because I wanted it because it had that S30V blade. And, you know, for a while there, I was just going to carry this. You know, I was saying, you know what? I don't like carrying a bunch of stuff, you know, sort of minimalism. I'm just going to carry this tool. It's got an S30V blade. It's got all this other stuff. What else do you need? But it's it's not terribly cumbersome, but I'm just used to having a pocket knife, and I don't like carrying redundant tools. But you know, so anyway, I went back to carrying my pocket knife, and I would carry that Swiss Champ. That was my compromise. I carried the Swiss Champ and a traditional pocket knife in my front pocket, but I will carry this sometimes, and you know, that's just one story. I've used this and the little Swiss Champ to get me out a couple other jams. But I just wanted to tell that story because that's the capabilities that you have with a tool like that. And the tool itself is not enough. You also need to be creative. You also need to be able to look at a problem and think critically. And I think that's kind of gotten lost in some of the new generation. I know everybody says that, but I think people are into instant gratification, and they don't really think out, to use what they have to get things done. And a more mundane part of that day was after we got everything done. I used this tool. We made our own grill. Like, I brought a grill plate out there, just the mesh part of the grill, and we built a grill out of some lava rocks that we found out there, and we used mesquite wood. I used this saw, and I cut up some mesquite wood, and we try to be real minimalist, and we cooked our steaks, and then I use this tool to flip the steaks. I use this tool to cut up the steaks and eat them. Everything I did that day, I used this tool for, and it really worked. So I felt a pretty good sense of pride at having this tool with me that day. Got a lot done. Anyway, back to what I was saying. If you're thinking about getting one, you can get this one. You can get the regular Leatherman Wave. I think Walmart now carries a cutlery lever. I think did a review on it. It carries a knockoff Wave, but it's really, from everything I saw, kind of a piece of junk. It looks like a Wave, but it's not a Wave. The steel is cheap and all that. But if you're on a budget and you need something, it'll get you by, or, SOG, Gerber. There's a bunch of people that make these. And then you want to spend more money, you can get one by Victorinox. And those are, at least to me, they're visually more attractive. They're highly polished, and they're beautiful looking. And you can get yourself one of those. The cool thing about a Leatherman, though, and I've used it, I've used their warranty. They stand behind their stuff, and they're very cool. When you call them, they are cool to you. They will take care of you and get it done. When I have an original Leatherman PST that I carried back when I used to be a cop. I was a cop many years ago, and I carried the original Leatherman PST. And long story short, I ended up switching it to a Gerber tool because it had that one-hand opening thing. And back then, I wasn't doing a lot of EDC tasks. But as a cop, the reason I used that tool was it had the one-handed opening, the Gerber did, that you could open the pliers with. But the only thing I mainly used this tool was the area I was working in at that time had a large drug problem. And when you'd go to these bad guys and go search their pockets and stuff, they'd put needles in their pockets, and when they saw the cops, they'd take the caps off of those needles. So the first thing you're going to do is search their pockets. Well, they knew that. So when you went to search in their pockets, you'd get stuck with that needle. And I learned real quick. I learned from a veteran sergeant that taught me. You got one of these tools. This didn't exist back then, but the PST and then later the Gerber, and you'd cram this down in their pocket, and you'd open it up like this. So it would open their pocket, and you twist it sideways, and then you take your flashlight and put it in this gap, and you could see down in their pocket, but you wouldn't get stuck. And if there was a needle, you could grab it with the pliers and yank it out of their pocket and keep yourself from getting hurt. So, yeah, if you don't know somebody and you're out on the street, you really just don't want to ram your hand into somebody's pocket. You don't know what you're going to find in there. So this tool, helped out back then, and that was one of my earliest experiences with multi-tools, and then it led to a lifelong thing of liking them. I'm a traditional knife guy. I've always carried one. That was, I think, the original multi-tool. I've said it before in other videos. My grandpa had a ranch, and he could do everything with just a pocket knife. But these things are kind of the natural evolution of that mindset. Where you can do a lot of stuff. And a lot of farmers and even ranchers now are starting to carry these things, and you're starting to see these things in the hands of a lot of cowboys, which is really interesting. But like I said, those are some of my stories of where this tool directly has saved the day. Didn't save a life or anything. Well, maybe when I was a cop going in those bad guys' pockets, there's a lot of bad disease you can get from getting stuck with an open needle. And one of these tools did save the day, and I certainly saved my friend from having to bust his window. Anyway, that's been my kind of little overview of the Leatherman Charge TTI and Leatherman tools in general. You don't have to get a Leatherman. I like them. I like them because I like their warranty. I like the fact they stand behind them. But I also really like the, from what I've seen, I don't own one, but I really like the Victorinox Multitools as well. And I can't justify spending the money on it because, you know, I have several Leathermans. It just wouldn't make sense to buy one, but maybe someday I'll get one just to try it out and see if it's any better. I'm not going to hunt around and find it on camera because it'll probably be impossible, but I also, for those of you that don't know, I wanted to tell you, if you're wondering when your Leatherman tool was made, there is a date code that's stamped on the inside of the handles of all Leathermans, and it'll have the month and it'll have the year. And I heard some of the newer ones have like a little wheel, like a clock pointing to the month and in the year. You know, I guess the small hand points to the month and the big hand points to the year. But all Leathermans have a date code. They give you a 25-year warranty now. But back when I got my first one, it was a lifetime warranty. I don't know why they switched to 25 years, but that's still a long time. When I called them and asked them about it, they said, yeah, it's 25 years. But if, if you got a problem, we'll take care of you. And I believe it. They always have. So I've only sent one tool in, but I've known guys. I got a friend that's an aircraft mechanic, and he sends them in all the time, and they've always taken care of them, no questions asked. This is a USA made tool. There's like a couple little small parts that they had the basic form of the part made overseas, and then they machined them and finished them at Leatherman. I'm not sure if I'm telling you that exactly right. So for a little while there, because it wasn't 100% made in the USA, they were not letting them put made in the USA on them, but I guess they got that straightened out, and they got a different, I think they got a US supplier or something, but these are all USA made. But yeah, on some of them, it won't say USA on them for that reason, but they are USA made. And even at that time, the Leatherman rep told me that they were like 99.1% USA made even then. So anyway, that's been a review and story time on the Leatherman Wave, Leatherman Charge, and the whole Leatherman tool range. And if you got any questions or you got any cool stories about where a multi-tool or the Leatherman has saved the day, leave them down below. I'd appreciate if you gave me a like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing, and leave a comment and tell me about your experiences. Anyway, I really appreciate all of you. Appreciate the new subscribers that have come along. It really does mean a lot. Not that I'm trying to get 1 million subscribers and make a big deal, but it's just nice to share knife stories and stuff like that with other knife guys. I said it before in another video, but the way I look at it, because I'm kind of old school, is we're all sitting around a campfire, and somebody wanders along and they sit down and they tell their story, and we talk about knives. It's a great hobby. It's a great way to get to meet some cool people that have the same interest. And I've really met some cool people, and I'm thankful. Anyway, y'all take care. I really appreciate you, and we'll catch you down the road.